Alright, welcome to the Innovation Labs tutorial of CorelDRAW. We'll be going over the basics and file prep for the universal lasers and current lasers today. We'll start out by making a simple coaster. At the very top, you'll notice a bunch of toolbars to use to create a new document. Plus, check the plus tab here. That'll create a new document. Just go ahead and title it whatever you want. I'll do sample coaster. Now the page size here is set up for the kern laser. If we want to change the page size up here in layout, scroll down to page size, you can change the settings. For the kern laser, width is 52 inches, height 100 inches. If we were making something smaller, like a coaster, we'll set it to use the universal laser, and that is a width of 32 inches, height of 18 inches. As you can see, it changes our document size. Now we are prepped and ready to go on the correct artboard for the laser that we will be using. To make a simple square or any simple shape on the left-hand side, there are simple tools you can use. So we'll click the square button here, drag, hold, let go, and that'll be our square. Now, quick hint on this, if you make a square and you hold down Control, it'll lock it into a square. If you let go of Control, you can have a free-form rectangle. Same thing works with a circle. If I had a circle, click and drag, hold Control, makes it a perfect circle. If I let go, turns it into an oval. Now I'm still in my circle tool right now. If I want to just click the objects, I can go up to the top left arrow here. Now I'm in the pick tool. This will help me transform things, shift them around, move just as normal without creating any sort of new objects. Let's get rid of them both and then start fresh. Alright, so I'll go over my square tool, click drag, hold Control, gives me a square, I'll let go. Go back to my pick tool. Now what I want to do is I want to make this about 3.5 inches tall, 3.5 inches wide. So I can click on my object, and then up here you'll see a few different options. This is the position of the object on the page with reference to the dots around it. The dots meaning on the left hand side there's these little dots you can click. If I click the bottom left, that's referring to the bottom left black dot here. So the furthest bottom left point of the object group you have selected. If I go over here, there's the size, and I can also lock the aspect ratio. So for this one, since I do want it to be a square, I'll keep the aspect ratio locked, and I'll just manually type in 3.5 inches. Now it's set to the correct size. If I want to select things multiple at a time, let's say I have 2 of these, you can do that by Control-C, Control-V, and I'll move it over. Whenever you copy something, if you paste it, it'll be pasted in the exact same position it was. So make sure that if you paste something, you move it out of the way, or else you have overlapping shapes. Once that's moved out of the way, if I want to select both of them, I can simply drag and drop the area over which I want to select. Now I have both objects selected. Speaking of objects, this is a good time to bring up the toolbar on the right called Objects. Now what you see here is a few different layers, guides, things like that. But what you're mainly going to be seeing is layer 1. Most of what you're going to be doing is just a single layer. We'll have all the objects will be listed here. So if I can click on the object, I can get the actual object I want. So if, for example, I take this and I copy and I paste it again, I now have what appears to be 2 objects, but in my object toolbar I have 3, and I can go through and I can click to see what's actually what. So I can see there are 2 rectangles here, but I only see 1. I'll just go ahead and click delete, and that'll get rid of one of them. So in the objects I see there's only 2 rectangles. On my screen I see there's 2 rectangles. That means there's no duplicate lines. Now I want to make the square a little rounded on the corners, just a nice feel. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to create it on 1. I'm just going to create one object the way I want it, and then duplicate them across the entire screen so that I can have multiples. So I'll click this first one, delete it. Now a good thing you can learn is the corners. If you go under here, you'll find corners. Different types. So if I want a rounded corner, I'll click fillet. If I want a straight corner, I'll click a chamfer. Today I'm going to do a fillet with a 1/4 inch radius. So now that I've set my object and got rid of the harsh corners and added 0.25 inch radius around the corner. Perfect. If I didn't see corners over here, so I deleted the tab. If I don't see corners, I can click this plus button down here and pick the toolbar I actually want to use. So I'll go and find corners, click the checkbox, and now I'm automatically in. Now I see corners, fill in the radius, whatever I want. Now when we position items to prep the document for use in the laser, we offset it 1/4 inch from the border to make sure we have enough room from the edge of the material to not overlap when we cut it. It's always going to be a 1/4 inch offset from the edge. So the universal laser, we offset, the 0 point is in the top left corner, and the kern, the 0 point is in the bottom left corner. So in this one, I'm cutting on the universal laser. The origin will be in the top left, so my offset will be from the top left corner. So I'll click all of my objects that I'm hoping to laser cut, and then I'll reference that point with this top left. And when I click this top left button here, that's referring to this black dot. That's the very top left point of the objects group I've selected. And I'll just manually type in 0.25 for the Y, for the X, and then for the Y, since it's 18 inches tall, put that at 17.75. Now we're good to go. So that is simple shape, simple coaster cutout. In the next video, I'll be talking about images and how to engrave things on your line. Oh, I actually forgot. It's important to understand lines and thicknesses. This line right here, well, let me go back, sorry. The lasers understand two things. One is a hairline, and two is anything with thickness. A hairline, I'll go into this Properties tab on the right-hand side. Is this pen? You'll see a pen tool and you'll see a paint tool. A paint tool will be any sort of object fill. The pen tool will be an outline. I can make this outline have a thickness, and I can also make it have no thickness. So there's no outline. The object's still there, but there's no outline on it. What we're always going to be doing is a hairline. That means just one single vector line the laser can read as a path to trace with as a tool path. If I wanted to engrave this entire coaster, any image with any thickness, even if it was letters, text for example, would be a black. Anything with a thickness is going to be an engraving into the material and set by black. So if that was the case, I would write text, go over here, click the text option, drag drop. All right, this is fun to learn Corel. Perfect. Go back to my pick tool, and now in this I can set the fill, uniform fill, and it's going to be a color black. Now it can't just be any sort of black. Once you get into the colors, click this rightmost palette option, and you'll see the Show Color Palettes. When you click that, there's going to be a drop-down bar here. Click the drop-down, and under Process, it'll be under Palette Libraries, Process, Universal Laser Systems. That'll give you the colors that we use that the laser can pick up on. If the colors you use in your art are outside of this, the laser will not pick up on it, and it will not get cut. So I'll make sure that's black, and now the laser can read it. So if I was to send this to the laser right now, I would cut it out in red, and it would engrave in black. What does that mean? Well, there's basically three ways to engrave. We can have a through-cut line, we can have a vector etched line, and an engraving. Now the through-cut line will cut all the way through your material. If I have a giant board of 1/4 inch birch ply, then it's going to cut all the way through. That's a hairline thickness. It's going to be red. If I want to just have a hairline thickness line, but just etched on the very top, that's going to be blue. And if I want to have any sort of engraving, anything with a thickness is going to be black, and that'll engrave into the material. So those three colors are what you're going to be using: red, blue, black. Black is any thickness, red is a through cut, and blue is a vector etch along the very top. In the next video, I'll be showing you how to put a picture on a coaster and engrave that.